Hello, it's another beautiful Sunday evening. Good evening. It is day number 10 in the month of September 2023. Welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. And our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired in the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show. We are streaming live on our social media pages, and on Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we are live at Iron Port Ghana. Iron Port Ghana. Now, we shall be getting interactive with you, and so all you have to do is sit back and take your phones and send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559 019 177, 0559 019 177. And when the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, we shall be activating the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the show. Please stay with us.
Guys, now I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really? Okay, I come.
Shut up!
Mommy, boss, fill my tank with Super XP Ron 95.
Fill up with Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from GOIL.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him. Hey, go for mommy.
Choose Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for GOIL Super XP Ron 95. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers,
for Nigeria, at Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And indeed, the new gantry cranes for Phase 2 of the Tema Port Expansion Project has arrived in Ghana, plus the fact that GPHA will also receive some 2 new tugboats next month. That's in the month of October. And the West Africa School of Shipping has also celebrated its first anniversary. That's a one-year anniversary of the West Africa School of Shipping, and the Joint Customs Consultative Committee in the course of the week also held a stakeholder engagement for players in the industry. Let's take a look at these stories and more.
Meridian Port Services has taken delivery of 3 ship-to-shore and 12 rubber-tie gantry cranes at Terminal 3 in the Port of Tema as part of Phase 2 of the port's expansion project. The arrival of the cranes is expected to solidify Tema Port's status as the premier commercial container hub in West Africa, while positioning the port to support increasing continental trade. The acquisition of these gantry cranes procured from China's ZPMC represents an additional investment of over $50 million in Ghana's maritime sector. The high-tech STS cranes, classified as Super Post Panamax, has the capability to service the world's largest vessels, featuring an impressive outreach of 66 meters and the ability to handle containers up to the 23rd row of vessels. These cranes also offer the unique ability to stack containers over 10 units high on deck, equipped with twin-lift spreaders capable of handling loads of up to 65 tons. The head of legal and compliance at MPS, Frank Brown, said, "This investment is a testament to the commitment of MPS to fostering economic growth."
This is just one of the events that we are witnessing, but behind the scenes, management will also have to strategize to make sure that the volumes continue to come in. You've been asking about West African trade. We want to position Tema as a hub, and in positioning Tema as a hub, we need to work with the shipping lines, and we need to attract trade, both gateway cargo, transit cargo, and transshipment cargo. So the work has just begun.
The harbour master at the Port of Tema, Captain Micah, whose outfit supervised the safe berthing of the vessel, says such moves are geared towards improving the port's capacity in tandem with growing demand.
So we are looking at having a 400-meter vessel very soon in a port. And it means that the beam also has widened to an extent of about 4 meters. And that is where the state-of-the-art STS cranes will have no challenge at all in working the magic on this cargo. So the Port of Tema is continually moving upwards and trying to make sure that we are functioning as a port that all types of cargo, all types of vessels, irrespective of their size, their draft, 1/6 is very, very competitive on the Gulf of Guinea.
In a related development, 2 new tugboats with 80-ton bollard pull are expected to be received at the Port of Tema to boost marine operational activities. Speaking exclusively to Iron Port, the harbour master at the Port of Tema, Captain Francis Kwesi-Micah, revealed that work is far advanced and the marine craft are expected before end of October.
Sea trials have been conducted safely, and then we are waiting for the finalization of some petty works that need to be worked on, and therefore, thereafter, the trucks will set sail. And we are expecting, if all goes well, by middle of October, we might have the vessels with us.
He says such investments tie into the overall objective of ensuring efficiency at the Port of Tema in handling the numerous merchant vessels that call the port.
We are gunning towards having 6 tugboats operational, meaning that if we have even 4 in here, the 2 will be available to handle the terminals 1 and 2, as well as the ABB terminal that we also offer tug services to facilitate their safe berthing of the tankers as they are buoyed.
A joint customs consultative committee engagement has been held in Tema, bringing together stakeholders in the port business to channel the challenges faced in their daily operations in the port. The open forum gave the opportunity to the port stakeholders to register their concerns, displeasure or otherwise on current events in the industry. Stakeholders present include Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Customs Division of JRA, terminal operators, regulatory agencies such as Food and Drugs Authority, the various freight forwarding associations, among others. Key among the issues discussed are clearance processes of general goods and cars, the excise tax stamp, the upfront VAT system, the warehousing regime, the transit regime, and other compliance-related issues.
I talk about core, blocking importer and blocking the customs house agents. And I'm like, people come and say, but why is it blocking the agent? The agent was only clearing for the importer. If you are blocking the importer, why should it block the agent? But the issue is that you, the customs house agent, you are carrying out what? A fiduciary duty for the importer.
One of the things that we have just been able to do that we are very thankful for under the leadership of the current commissioner is that we have finally been able to secure Terminal 2 as a freight station. And there are conditions to be fulfilled. The first being that we should set up the office. And we have done about 80% refurbishment of the old Terminal 2 so that we can accommodate the custom officers who will be assigned there. And this is good news because it would cut the costs for a lot of people.
If you bring in unregistered product, what it means is that you breach the law. By that, it means the product that you are bringing in, you've not had the opportunity of guaranteeing the safety to consumers. So if you could observe, June, FDA strengthened this particular policy to ensure that we will improve on that.
JCC for us is, we look at it as the solution center. Since JCC started somewhere in, I think about 6-7 years ago, I can say about 96-97% of problems or issues that we put on the stake on that platform is resolved. So we are very proud of this platform.
The West Africa School of Shipping has celebrated its 1-year anniversary while also holding a graduation ceremony for 33 students who undertook various shipping-related courses with the school. The West Africa School of Shipping, situated in Tema, is a recognized partner of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers London, offering various academic and training programs to aspiring maritime professionals. 28 students successfully completed courses in understanding shipping and port agency. In addition, 3 students successfully completed ICS Foundation Diploma, whereas 1 person passed the Advanced Diploma in Professional Qualifying Examination. The Executive Director of the West Africa School of Shipping, Gertrude Adjoa Ohene Esienim, emphasized why continuous professional development is necessary for maritime professionals.
Understanding shipping is recommended for everyone working in shipping. Today's shipping world is constantly changing and evolving, and therefore continuous professional development is necessary for all to stay abreast with modern trends. Every accountant aspires to charter in accountancy, and so should we in shipping aspire to get a professional qualification in addition to our degrees and diplomas.
On behalf of the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, Head of Public Relations at the Shippers Authority, Bernice Natui, expressed admiration for increased women participation in the maritime industry, spurring them on for more.
It is very encouraging and motivating to learn that we are not just doing anything, but we are seeking to build professionals who can match the world standards and who can fit in anywhere.
Veteran maritime consultant and legal practitioner Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia admonished the various graduates to apply what they have learned in their various professional fields.
The education, the training is indeed an anchor, and it is therefore very gratifying to note that this morning we have a number of you who have gone through the process to build your anchor, such that in the process, should you come across storms, and as Madam said, it should be continuous. You cannot build your anchor and leave it there. It should be a process that continues, and therefore the continuing training is important for all of us.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. Indeed, we're now going for the word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Now, today's word is dredging. Dredging.
Dredging is the removal of sediment to deepen access channels, provide turning basins for ships, and maintain adequate water depth along waterside facilities.
All right, so welcome back. We are now zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and some call them freight forwarders, others call them clearing agents, others call them customs house agents, others also call them customs house brokers. Any which way they are the interface or the link between the shippers or importers and then the ports or points of entry. And tonight we are trying to examine the relevance of the freight forwarder in the era of technology. Since 2017, we've, touted paperless, we've gone digitalization and all that, and most of the processes in the ports are now digitalized. You can sit in the comfort of your office or your home and transact business for your goods to be cleared from the port. And so we are begging the question tonight whether there's still some relevance in the operations of freight forwarders in our country or in our system. Tonight, it gives me pleasure to introduce to us someone who's no stranger to this particular program, and the person of Mr. Eddie Akron, who is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. Good evening, Mr. President, and welcome. And your company, your mic is off, please, if you can on it. Yes. Yes. Good evening, Mr. President, and welcome. Yes. And your company, what's the name?
Shake Lines and Company Limited.
Shake Lines and Company.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So that's the man who is leading the pack as far as the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders is concerned. By far, I think the biggest freight forwarding, association or group in the country.
That's correct.
Absolutely. And also in the studios, he's also no stranger to Iron Port, Mr. Smile Agbemenu. Mr. Agbemenu is the principal revenue officer at the Ghana Revenue Authority, and he is in charge of policy and planning at the customs. Principal revenue officer, customs policy and programs, and team member of the ICAMS implementation committee. He's not a stranger. He has been here several times, and we're happy to have him back in the studios. Mr. Agbemenu, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening to you.
Absolutely. I like your smile. Yes.
Baby smile.
Mr. President, absolutely. Mr. President, you said some of your mates were worrying you and asking you to do some shout-outs.
I have to do this. So I have to send these shout-outs to my mates level 400, MUG,
yes.
Tema campus.
Yes.
Hello.
Methodist University College.
Methodist University of Ghana.
Yeah.
Oh, we are full-fledged university now.
Methodist University of Ghana. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
that's correct.
You have your own charter now.
Exactly.
And you can, okay. Fantastic. You award your own
do this.
degrees and all that. Great. So, and I'm sure they are watching.
Of course they are.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So let me start with you and find out from you or ask you to tell us how the freight forwarding business has evolved over the years. If you can give us some background.
Right. Thank you.
To put us in perspective for the discussion. Yes.
So thank you very much. So basically, in 1984, I walked out of the Takoradi Polytechnic straight into a freight forwarder's office. And to tell you the truth, so a lot has happened from that time till now. And so maybe I'll be in the right position to say that. But before that, I think sometime in the early 60s and stuff, most of what we do now, there was not much input, but most of it was done by the airlines and then the ship line. I think there were a lot of Syrians in the system also who were taking care of our, the clearing processes. Fast forward after the overthrow of Nkrumah, I think a lot of the Ghanaians who were living outside were trying to come back into the country. So it was the first time there was such a surge, of goods coming into the country. Now these Syrians and these other companies who were doing the clearing at the time, had Ghanaian workers. And these guys had been trained under them. So they at least had an idea how, the customs processes worked. So you had the Goro boy situation coming because you come in and say, I can help you take your goods out of the port. So it got a bit hectic. Now that created a situation with, having miscreants amongst them, not those who are not law-abiding, those who try to cut corners to get stuff out. And then comes, the NRCD, and then new laws were, for the first time, laws were set out to regulate what we're doing. So fast forward, like I'm saying, the freight forwarder has evolved into a whole lot of things. At the time, we used to be the National Association of Customs House Agents. So that's what it was just strictly that. Now, our involvement into the freight forwarder situation tells you what has happened now and how far we have come and what we are doing right now. In fact, if you look at the world and when the fourth industrial revolution and with digitalization, a whole lot of things have changed. So we had to kind of technologically savvy or you'll be left out.
Right.
And so we have to connect to the world and plug in, because globalization also came with what? World trade. And we're no more an island on our own, and we're trading on the world. And all the complexities of global trade required that you needed the freight forwarder who had specialized in that, and as an architect, of transport, to get your goods from point A to point B. And so that was very much required. Again, there were the issues of regulations. Okay, now you have the customs law that we had to be sure you had to be very adverse at what the customs law says. You have all these regulatory agencies, the FDBs, the standards authorities, and lately, by the day, there are either commissioners, orders coming out. The regulatory agencies like Standards Authority have their own laws, and you have to keep up with all these things. So it was very important that the freight forwarder would be averse with these new laws and be able to properly advise and consult for their clients. Again, they have become customer-centric because some customers demanded more than just the clearing part. And so some agents have become more of consultants, have become very customer-centric to make sure that you satisfy the customer. There are customers who want their cargoes coming from dock to door. So they don't want to care about what you're doing because they want to concentrate on their core businesses. So it was very important for them, for freight forwarders who wanted to keep their businesses to become more customer-centric. So we've seen that phase. Okay, again, there's the issues of risk management. People have goods coming in. We don't have to go too far and invent the wheel. If you look at the disruptions from the Ukraine-Russian war, most recently, you can look at what has happened across our the land-linked countries. All the political instabilities going on. And we're trading a lot with them. So with all the trade that is coming across our borders, how do these things get there? Because your goods land in Ghana. Overnight, there's a coup here. The borders are closed here. Borders are closed. How do you reroute these cargoes? Because they would have to get to their destinations. And not all takes risk management. We've just had this earthquake close to Marrakesh. You understand? If you have clients who have goods coming from that area or going to that, okay, of course the vessels are not going to stay up. So you need to redirect all of these things. These are all part of the evolvement of the freight forwarder. Again, there's the issue of e-commerce has arisen so much, but there's what they call the last mile logistics. If you have goods coming from Amazon, you've ordered stuff, they get in here. How do they get to the door of the individual? You understand? This is all taken care of by freight forwarding, and so we fit into those spaces. Data analytics and flexibility, because they are big companies now. You have to analyze data that you have to. How do you fit into them? Who are maybe the top 100 companies importing companies in Ghana, or the top 100 exporters? How do they do their business? They require information. You need to get to them. You require the information. Okay. We have built ourselves into more than just being third-party logistics players, where we're only worrying about, I clear your goods for you, I find transport to bring your goods to you in the house. No. Now we've moved to the fourth and fifth party logistics. And we have companies now but you need to be technologically savvy to be able to do these things. Because if there are huge trading companies in Ghana now who require that you plug into their systems and make sure that when their inventories are going low, the right time when the inventories are. They don't have to wait for you to. Immediately what time to have orders made, what time to route, and then also to make sure that they have visibility, right? Through technology, they know when their goods are arriving, so you can properly advise, okay? So all of these things, together with risk mitigation, as I talked about, has actually set the tone that the freight forward has evolved doing all of these things, and not just the basic clearing of goods and sending on transport that you find.
Right. Awesome. Thank you very much for your initial submission, Mr. President. Let me come to Mr. Agwemenu. You are in charge or responsible for licensing these customs house agents. That's the Ghana Regional Authority and specifically the Customs Division of the GRA. Tell us what your assessment has been of their performance so far.
Okay, thank you. You are right. We do the licensing. We're in charge of licensing of custom house agents. But let me just give you a step back. When you mentioned freight forwarding,
yes,
you also mentioned custom house agents, you mentioned customs brokers,
yes,
and co. In fact, freight forwarding is a bit different from customs house agency work. So as Eddie had explained,
yes,
it's basically managing the movement of goods from one point to another. He explained all of the issues that go with it. But then for clearing is when we come to the mention of the custom house agent, where they are specifically licensed by the Customs Administration of state parties, or say in this case, Ghana Revenue Authority, to be able to liaise between the client, that is the trader, importer, or exporter, in fulfilling regulatory requirements for the take of goods out of customs charge. So they are licensed in accordance with Section 43 of the Customs Act 2015, Act 891, and regulations thereto. So their work basically is to ensure that all the requirements that are needed for delivery of goods out of customs charge is met. So that is the aspect. In terms of how they have performed so far, of course, we've been having some back discussions before we've entered the studio. That is true, they have done fairly well. They have really done fairly well. There are a lot of complications when it comes to dealing with international trade. All goods that are into cross-border trade had to be properly classified. And classification goes with two things. One is for tariff administration, so where you pay taxes, and also for trade statistics reporting, which is very good for, or significant for, policy decision making. So where there is wrong classification, then you can see how it will impact a policy decision. So if they are doing some, we are accepting in the region of 80% of what they are doing, by your own scoring, you can say they have not done very bad. They've done fairly well. Of course, there's room for improvement. And we'll continue to engage and continue to do a lot of training sessions for some of these things to happen. You mentioned technology. And if you look at technology, it's just in basically looking at man-made or human-made tools, processes, systems, and knowledge for the improvement of society, culture, changing culture, and the economy. So if you mentioned earlier that we have been able to bring some of these things to their doorsteps. So instead of you going to a physical office to transact business, you are at the comfort of your home, or you are at the studio here, and you are able to interact with government agencies. That is technology. So that is how far we have gone by making sure we bring our service close to those who are our clients. And that is one of the key points of the Ghana Revenue Authority. If you look at our strategic goal 4 of this year, which we are studying this 2023, is to introduce innovative means by making sure that we bring our service much closer to the trading community and our stakeholders. So freight forwarders, they are one of our stakeholders. Custom house agents, they are one of our stakeholders. And we make sure that we bring the services close to them so they don't have to hassle, move around before they're able to communicate with their clients, communicate with us, or any government agency. But sit in the comfort of their office, in their homes, wherever they are to do business. Availability at any point in time, 24 hours, and be able to communicate with us. So this is how far we've gone, and they have also gone.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, too, for your initial submission. Let me come back to you, Mr. President, and find out from you to tell us how important your role is in the global supply chain. Because you play a very key role, and you listed some of the things that you do. That makes you quite relevant. That makes you, you know, indispensable, if I can say so. But tell us how important your role is vis-a-vis the global supply chain.
So basically, like I said earlier, the global supply chain is a very complex situation. And so to be able to do that, first of all, you have to act professionally. You need to know what you're doing. And so to be able to, like I said again, as architects of transport, you're delivering some cargo from point A to point B. with all the complexities involved. You're looking at, first of all, time, how fast you want to do the delivery. Again, you have legal issues, the regulations in country, out country. We're sitting in Ghana, even in country, you have to be so, up to date on it. How much more so, out of the country. And so we create things like networks to be able to show that we network with our partners outside who are also on point to know the issues in their countries before these things, travel along, so that we can get these goods to our clients on time. So that is a very, very important role, Again, the issues of like expertise in regulations, like I said, you need to be up to date with the laws. You find people calling you and asking very basic things. Can I export this thing to this country? Of course, in country, you say it's okay. Then how do you know the laws out there? If I'm sending something to South Africa, I would have to check with my, partners there. But if I've not created these networks, it's going to be very difficult for me to do, okay? Again, the issues of cost efficiency. Because the freight forwarder is playing the part of your consulting for your clients. You need to save money for your client. So you want to get these goods to a point and have them save costs. Okay, so you have to negotiate for the right freight, make sure you're using the right kind of transport to get the goods to your client, but at the least cost possible. So cost efficiency is very, very important. Again, the logistics connection. How do you get these goods? You sit in a place where you might have to use 3 or 4 means of transport. Do multimodal transport. He's going to go by rail, by sea, by inland waterway, and by road to get to him. How can you do that feasibly to get the goods to the client? You understand? Again, at the least cost, okay? We talked about time savings, making sure that, you get these things to them on time, because you need certain cargo should be just in time. So then you advise the client, you know what, to get this thing to you within this number of days, you don't need to do this by sea transport. We need to go by air. At the same time, you are looking at cost, okay? Technology is very important. It is not cheap. And so for the freight forwarder to be able to, hook on into, with your network partners and stuff, you need to, be on the same technological platform as these partners to be able to deliver to your clients. And so, again, market access. There are startups. There are people who have just started trading, so they come up to you. This is what I want to do. I have clients who just came up to me and said, "Oh, I want to bring in fish feed because now it's a big part of our agricultural, business. Now I want to bring this. I don't know where to start from, but because we have the databases and know that a lot of fish feed is coming from, let's say, Hungary, to be precise, or it's coming from here, and I looked at the, the rates, and I said, no, you find it cheaper here from this country. How do I get it to you? And then he relies on that information you are giving them. You understand? So a lot of the startups also come to us. So we give them market access. Yeah. So this is all part of the roles that we play. Again, we talked about disaster response and the things that are happening around us. So you have to look at all these things and then say, look, this is right the time for you to take this here. It's the wrong time for you to do this. You need to hold on at this time. We're playing a full consultancy role. So these are the things we do.
All right. Great. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Let me come to Mr. Agwemene and find out from you your dealings with the freight forwarders and the clearing agents and how they are able to help you in terms of freight facilitation. If you understand what I mean. Yes.
I do. In fact, just to indicate and mention that we are actually where we want to measure the efficiency.
I think you mentioned it last time.
Yes, we want to measure the efficiency of all state actors involved in the cross-border trade.
You haven't finished it yet?
We are at the final stage where even last week we did an engagement with stakeholders, including the freight forwarders and customs agents. Wanted to take the opinion on certain findings so as to incorporate that into the report. That is the stage that we are now. Again, he's mentioned quite a lot of things that they have been doing. But they are actually to ensure compliance with national laws regarding cross-border trade. They are actually supposed to be vested in tariff schedules or classification of goods. they are supposed to be vested in regulatory requirements. Again, procedures, processes that govern import and export trade, and to provide advice to clients as to the business environment, the requirements, and then the times to do particular type of tradings. And in our dealings with them, they of course, that you need to be a professional.
Right.
As one of the requirements for their licensing is for you to have a staff or director to be proficient in customs business.
Right.
And they bring the knowledge to bear a lot on their work. So in their dealings with them, I mentioned earlier that they've been doing fairly well. They have actually been providing enough information that is able to give us a quicker time to process them. They are able to take advantage of pre-arrival processes so as to be able to get all the requirements awaiting arrival of cargo for its inspection and delivery. In all those aspects, you can say that they have been doing fairly well. They have actually been able to give us information that is a bit accurate. I mentioned earlier that if you are looking at a score of in excess of 77%, for which whatever it is that they have provided us, we accept them, means that they have not been doing quite bad.
Okay. All right. So I want to find out from you. I know there's a regime where an intransigent freight forwarder clearing agent would have the license revoked. Under what circumstances is this done? And have you done so? In recent times?
Yes, you're right. So the acquisition or the issuance of the license is actually a privilege. And there are conditions that you are given. Where you do not meet those conditions, the license is either suspended or revoked. I don't know if you permit me, I can just read out.
Yes, please.
I can just read out some of these. So if you go to section 40, I mentioned section 43 of the Customs Act, gives us a framework for the licensing and management of the Customs House agents. And then if you go to the regulations 2016 LI 2248, specifically under section 28, deals with prohibitions of mock practice. So what the authority prohibits, and if I can read just some of them. So a Customs House agent, I'm quoting, a Customs House agent shall not, A, knowingly file or procure any false claim, affidavit or other document, or give, solicit or procure the giving of any false or misleading information in any matter pending before the Commissioner General or any public officer. Produce directly or indirectly information from government records or other government sources to which access is not granted to proper authority. Enter into an agreement to transact any business in relation to customs in a manner that the fees and other remuneration resulting from the services rendered are received by or accrued to the benefit of an unlicensed person. I know this issue will be coming up. Permit the license or name of the Customs House agent to be used by any person other than an employee of that Customs House agent who is not licensed or whose license has been suspended for the promotion or performance of any. E, knowingly make any misrepresentations to procure employment in any customs business or represent to a client or prospective client that the Customs House agent can obtain any favor from the Commissioner General or other public officer in connection with any business. Again, so you notice that they said you are dealing with your client and you are making your client to believe that you are able to procure any favor from the Commissioner General, which is untrue. And that is where we may have the cases where they'll be complaining that somebody has taken more than the money required to do A or B. Then you have also withheld information relating to any customs business from a client who is entitled to the information. This aspect is dealing with where you are supposed to tell your client that the customs duty and taxes, say for example, is 10 cedi, and you have withheld that information from your client.
Yes.
That is a malpractice.
Absolutely.
It means that you have to be very open.
Yes.
You have to tell your client everything that is required to be known in connection with dealing with the state actors.
Absolutely.
If it has to do with any fees and any form of information, so long as it is required that your client knows of it. So there are a lot of these ones that are indicated as malpractices.
So once you go against these,
once you go against,
then it
then
serves as grounds.
It serves as grounds for us to make a determination as to whether whatever it is that
Suspend
you have
your license or to
conducted
revoke.
is an act of suspension or revocation of license. Then where it is for suspension, that your license is suspended, there's a procedure you have to go through anyway. But where it is for revocation, the license is revoked from you.
Right.
If it is suspended, the law indicates that we have up to 1 year to suspend your license. If it is for revocation, then we have up to 2 years to revoke your license. Of course, for suspension, you can appeal the two of them, and after investigations, if it warrants a restoration, it is restored. So we do that one. Of course, in recent time, there have been a lot of, not a lot anyway, you have quite a number of people engaged in the business of customs.
Right.
But of course, we have some of them that from time to time we have issues with, as to either the client coming to make a report, and then we investigate, and where there is reason to take a decision as to suspension, we proceed to do a suspension of the company. And where there are works pending in the work of that agency, those works are transferred to other agencies for them to continue work with.
Right.
And then we continue to investigate the activities of a company. If it requires prosecution, then we hand over to the legal department, and then they proceed from there.
Right.
So yes.
Okay. All right. And in recent times, have you had cause to revoke somebody's license or suspend?
Yes, I mentioned that, of course, even currently, there are some investigations ongoing regarding some acts of these custom house agents, and their license have been suspended.
Right.
The procedure is that they'll be written to, we have written to them. We invited them for some interview, and based on the responses, it was justified by the commissioner that their license be suspended. Right. Their licenses have been suspended. Further investigations are still ongoing. So these are in recent times. I can mention in a number of 15 or so companies that have their licenses currently suspended, just because of some acts of malpractice as spelled out in Regulation 28.
Read out. Okay. Yes. All right. Great. Let me come to Mr. President. In your initial submission, you made mention about the fact that you have evolved and you are now even currently doing fourth and fifth logistics. Tell us about the fourth and fifth logistics. When you say fourth and fifth logistics.
So I think I made a certain inference to it.
Yes.
So the third-party logistics is basically acting on behalf of the client. So you've done the clearing for him, and then you find some means of transport for him to go to point B, maybe his warehouse or something. So that's just basically third-party logistics. Because let's say I'm a freight forwarder, but I do not do transport.
Right.
But I can act on behalf of my client to transport their goods. That's basic third-party logistics. Now, the fourth level, fourth-party logistics, then you have technology coming to play. So I made the inference of, let's say, I don't want to mention any big, but let's say a big trading company who imports, has a hypermarket, or what they call supermarkets, but they're hyper. So they have thousands of items on their invoice list, right? Things that they sell in the hyper store. So once, as an agent, you are plugged in because of your technological prowess. You are plugged in into their systems. If you clear for them, you have all their inventories. If he has they bring in screws, you know, maybe 10 millimeter screws, 50 millimeter screws. At any point in time, once the POS, the point of sale, you know, registers a certain sale, it reduces the inventory.
Right.
Now, you are able also to see at your end that there is a reduction in the inventory. So, if you have a lead time of, say, maybe 2 months to import that particular item into their stores, you need to make sure that by the time it gets to the, there are 2.5 months more, and the inventories have gone very low. It sets off an automatic order.
Yes.
To bring in the same, because you have a lead time of 2 months to get it from the point of production, wherever the country is, because you know the lead time. So you can read this. And that is why you need to analyze data. Now, if you don't have that technological prowess, you cannot do that. So that is where the fourth, party logistics have gone to. As for the fifth, that is major. So far in Ghana, I don't think we're seeing that. But this is a marriage between global logistics chain suppliers who control the whole global, and so this is huge. So that is what the third, fourth, and fifth party logistics is about.
I know that recently you launched a research hub.
Yes.
At the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. Tell us what you've been able to do so far with that hub.
My brother, data is key. So what we intended to do, part of education for our own members and also for the outside world to see what we're doing, is that we have articles. It's also for a point of advocacy. So we gather a lot of data so our members can be abreast with times on certain issues that are happening in the system. Again, it is also meant to bring our members abreast with laws, new laws that are coming up. We're just writing something now on, this is new law on what?
It's escaped you.
It's escaped me.
I'm sure it will come here.
No, so all of these things, we have to, our members, if you are not abreast, at least when you read these articles, then you can go back and say, okay. So it keeps you abreast. Yeah. We also gather data a lot. And so we also keep our members abreast. With our education systems, what is happening with our education, we keep our members on point. And with things happening around us.
Right.
And so it's very important that we have this the GIF Insight, which is and that's why we launched it, and it's doing very well. Very soon, the next article, the next, journal, the next, one will come out. So, yes.
Okay, or will be published. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Agwemenu and find out from you. Sometimes you find, importers, shippers complain that their agents have fleeced them of some monies and all that. You just listed some of the circumstances under which some licenses can be revoked or can be suspended. And, you mentioned some of the things that one can do. And I know some of these issues come to your attention. You mentioned it, that, you receive complaints, of such and all that. I just want to find out from you, when some of these complaints hit your desk, what are the steps you take to get them to address these concerns? Is it that you reach out to the particular agent in question, bring them together to find an amicable solution, failure of which you now escalate and take, other actions? What are the steps you take when some of these complaints reach you?
Good. So for every custom house agency, so it's a team. These teams are managed by the managers, the directors, and co. So in many of the cases, you notice that they deal with the office desk people, or those they call the operators. They are the ones who go into the machine and then do some form of electronic information submission.
Right.
And then they have the field officers, those who go to the field to go and work on the physical cargo, inspection, and delivery itself. So depending on which of this aspect that is impacted, then determines how to approach the investigation. But of course, the moment you receive the complaint, one of the first actions we'll take is to inform the management of the company, not the direct staff who is involved. Because the management have an oversight responsibility. Is to invite the manager, and then the manager is explained to what has happened, then given time to engage with the staff and provide certain responses, mindful of the time of clearance as well. So based on that one, decisions are made. Where an importer is not satisfied with the service, most likely the importer is likely to go to the sector where they are doing the clearance from. Either the sector commander or any officer that is at the place And the moment you do that one, it is forwarded to the desk that manages the custom house agent, that's the policy and programs unit. They initiate certain activities by engaging the management. And when that is done, two things could happen. It is either you are advised to continue the work, or the work is taken from you and passed on to another agent.
Okay.
And where it is taken from you and passed on to another agent, most likely that your company at that point may be suspended whilst investigation still continues. So we have some laid-down procedures at the clearance office. Clearance office is where the physical cargo is, and at headquarters, the general headquarters, where if it is not to be resolved by the clearance office, it's escalated to headquarters for redress. That's the procedure we take them through.
Okay. All right. So let me come to Mr. President and find out from you. There's this issue of miscreants in your midst, and they say in every setup or every organization we have a few bad nuts. Now, sometimes you don't just say they are few, because one
miscreant
exactly can muddy the waters for everybody and can drag the name of the organization into disrepute, and all those kind of things. And so I just want to find out from you how you are dealing with this particular trend of those that are intransigent amongst you.
Okay. So basically, who's a miscreant? A miscreant is someone who does something unlawful, has done something wrong, has gone against the law. So they lay down procedures, use it. Trust me, I will not sit here to say, oh, because it may be my people, then I say, oh, it's okay. No, wrong is wrong. My brother just laid out, the procedure as to how, if something happens, what should be done. And I think it's a very good procedure, because once you call somebody out, you call him out for a certain wrongdoing and say, this is what you have done. Once it's laid out to you, if you have the right explanation for it, so be it. I think it's just proper practice. I was just having a certain chat with him and said, is that what is really happening? So for me, I'm not worried. If somebody has done something wrong, he's done something wrong. Let's take him through the proper procedures. There's a certain issue of blocking when, in fact, before you know you've been blocked, then now you go to find out, why have I been blocked? That blocking is basically tantamount to the, suspension of license, because then you can't work.
Right.
So I'm just saying, it is just fair. If we're going to go according to the procedures that, he's talking, Smile is talking about, which is all fair. So bring the person to book and say, okay, this is and this is what you have done.
Yes.
And so we are going to, for now we're going to suspend your license, so then they'll block you. Fair enough. But I'm saying we do not, say that if there are miscreants amongst us, they should be allowed to stay. They give us a bad name. Of course, we want to do the right thing. I've just returned from a tripartite meeting in Togo with our Togolese partners and our, Beninois, friends from UPRAD and then their associations there. One of the major things we intend to do is that how do we take out all these miscreants from our midst? Because then if I can give comfort to my partners in, to the GRA, and they can also give comfort to their, what they call hotel, their regional, their, revenue authorities, that these goods are coming clean. It's all coming through our borders, documentation is okay. Who should worry? My other worry is that, in our African parlance, they say if you speak to Kojo, then you must speak to Kwame. Okay, we need to also find out the source, the reasons why these miscreants can operate easily. I was just telling Smile, okay, we've built systems. We need to make these systems strong so that they can't easily use the systems to do bad. And he, his response was quite, of course, they're systems, they're human beings who are operating them. The Americans will tell you it takes two to tango.
Yes.
Sometimes I think they give us too much credit. We seem like we're hypnotists. And then we can, just hypnotize everybody and run things through the systems. We pray and hope that whilst we call us out for the miscreants in our system, we should make sure that on the other side, we don't have any, co-partners who are also helping that, that same illegal things to happen. It is very important. so that we can keep sanity, you know, in the whole system itself. I'm happy he's given a 77%. At least it's come this far. Maybe that's why he's called Smile, so he's got me smiling right now. But we can always do better. And so, like I'm saying, we do not say, look, you should keep the miscreants. We want to get them out ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
They should do the right thing. Why would you want to sign? Look, most of the complaints that come to my desk from my members who have had problems, 90% of the time, you will realize that these are not direct clients that they have dealt with. Somebody has walked into the office who's a friend of the data entry clerk and has just taken some business to the data entry clerk. He's paid a little money. He's done the declaration for him. And then he goes to do something. But when that happens, like Smile said, it comes to the company. So you're sitting at home thinking, you've let the door ajar. And then you're in trouble in no time. So it's one big advice I give to my members, especially for the owners and directors of the companies.
Right.
Look, you might say you're leaving the business to the data entry clerks and your field officers. It is very important that you are able to access the system, because there's always an audit trail. So even if you're sitting wherever, Bumpulgu, the system is there for you to access.
Absolutely.
If you are in, somewhere down south, the system is there for you to access. Try and get to know what is happening in your system. You understand? Because some of your workers might just have done something wrong. It will surprise you what they do not know. So we do not subscribe to that. If you've done the wrong thing, you've done the wrong thing. As long as the law catches up with you, you gotta go. We try to find our ways and means of dealing with such members if it comes to our notice.
Okay. This is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at the relevance of the freight forwarder in the era of technology. And we have in the studios Mr. Eddie Akrong, who is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, and also in the studios Mr. Smile Agwemenu, who is the principal revenue officer, policy and programs, the customs headquarters, and indeed he's also a member of the ICOMS implementation team. They are the two gentlemen we're having a discussion with tonight. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the show. Please do stay.
Guys, now I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever.
Princess, really? Okay, I dey come.
Shut up!
Mame, feel me talking about what? Boss, fill my tank with Super XP Raw 95.
Fill up with Super XP Raw 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from Goyle.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him. Hey, go for a
Choose Super XP Raw 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for Goyle Super XP Raw 95. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory
and my warehouse. Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. This is Iron Port here on Metro TV, and tonight we are taking a look at the relevance of the freight forwarder in the era of technology. And with us in the studios, Mr. Eddie Akron, who is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, and also in the studios, Mr. Smile Agwemenu, who is Principal Revenue Officer, Policy and Programs at the Customs Headquarters. He's also a member of the ICOMS Implementation Committee. Now we're doing some messages. This one says, hello, with all the important work freight forwarders, Mr. Akron has elaborated, how on earth will Finance Minister want to make it a policy for importers who are not knowledgeable in these technicalities to clear their own goods? This one is from Nana Esiama, the first, second Vice President, Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. Is there anything like that, Mr. Agwemenu?
Clearing of your own goods.
Yes.
I don't think Ghana is.
Yes, let me announce the phone lines before you continue. I've been told by the production team that we can announce the phone lines, and the line is right here on your screen: 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Yes, sir.
So I was saying that I don't think Ghana is different from any other customs administration. If you look at the recommendations of the World Customs Organization, where some of these are parts of the recommendations to also make provisions for individuals who would want to take or clear cargo by themselves, do that.
Yes.
We are doing something of the sort anyway, where that we think you have cleared and have demonstrated some level of compliance. We give you a status of self-clearance so that you are able to do the clearance by way of import-export clearance by yourself. I can tell that the first half of this year, about 23% of our transactions have actually been done by this group of persons.
Wow.
That we have given this status
23%?
to. Yes, about 23%.
Self-clearance?
They are entities that have demonstrated compliance. Okay. Of course, that is what we are in for. Because there are a lot of requirements having to deal with customs and other regulatory agencies. If you demonstrate, competence in these areas, you are given the status to be able to do that business for yourself. So we have a lot of entities that are doing that one. And as I mentioned, about 23% of transactions first half of this year done by these agencies. So they have been, and this has been there for quite some time now. It is not new to the environment.
Right.
The only thing is that if you think you have the capacity to do some of these activities by yourself, then of course that, because we don't want individuals to also go and be choking the pot,
yes.
Not knowing what to do. Some people have the ability to say they are able to manage all these ones, do proper classification of goods,
yes.
submit all the required trade and transport support documents, and do all those regulatory requirements, license, permit, certificate, and other documentations. If you have capacity to do that one, we give you the status to be able to do that.
Right.
And we have some people doing that already.
Absolutely. Okay. This one says, good evening. I am Port. My name is Benis from Tema. I'm always happy with the mileage you give us agents and our issues. I want to tell our leaders to ensure to protect our jobs and keep it reserved for Ghanaians, as the law says. Now, there's a new wave of vertical integration by shipping lines trying to do our work. I hope that that is not left unattended. I'm keen on knowing customs' view on that. It's clear that the law says the customs house business should be reserved for Ghanaians. And they complain. It's been a long-standing issue. They've complained that they are, foreigners that are taking over this business and all that. The fellow wants to hear from you.
Of course, if you look at Section 43 of the Customs Act 2015, Act 891, clearly indicates that for you to engage in customs business, the person must be a fully Ghanaian, or so they say the corporate body or the partnership must be Ghanaian,
yes.
It must be Ghana character.
Yes.
Yes, we are referring to the ownership, not the staff.
Right.
So there are cases where you may have ownership as fully Ghanaian, but the staff of the company non-Ghanaian.
Experts, okay.
And then because you see that person as non-Ghanaian, as a staff of the company, you are concerned. But if you go into ownership, you realize that the company by registration is actually Ghanaian.
Okay.
Yes. Of course, that we also have those entities that were there before coming into force of the Act 891 of 2015. So where there was some character of foreign, because I know there are one or two companies that had some character of foreign in them,
right.
Because it couldn't have taken retrospective effect. Those have been maintained. But for those ones, we can tell that if you look at their level of compliance, if you look at the people who are actually doing the work,
right.
They are Ghanaians. So we are mindful, and the space is actually reserved for Ghanaians, and we ensure that it is compliant with that.
Yes.
I'm grateful. I think it's basically what it is, but I'm a bit worried when it comes to a few things. Like I told you, I've just come from Togo 2 days ago when we started. If you look even across our, West African, there is the issue of local content. But I think sometimes, I must confess, that we just pay lip service to it. So if you go in Benin now, we just met with my brother, and he has sent me the decrees in French. I wanted to translate it so our people could see. If you, as a Beninois, even go on the blind side, like do business, if they are able to find out that you're doing the Customs House Agency business for a certain foreigner, what we call fronting, you could go to jail.
Okay.
In Togo, it is the same thing. You cannot go and do their Customs House Agency business.
Right.
Okay? So that is why we build the networks and the partnerships. In Ghana, okay, my brother talked about the retrospective effect. A law is a law. And that is why we have renewals every year.
Absolutely.
When this law about the payment of a certain levy for if you were going to renew your roadworthy and your vehicle was a certain
age,
capacity or something above that, you have to pay this. The law did not say that, oh, for those who have already imported those vehicles into the country, you will not pay that levy. Because you renew the roadworthy every year. So that if somebody is in this business and comes at the end of the year to customs, and you know this is what the law says, if they are coming for their renewal, we cannot, based on the law, renew their license for them to operate as customs house agents.
Yes.
You could look at the spirit and letter of the law, that the reason for it was to what? Save that little bit. For what? The local. It's for local content. And my brother, the seriousness of it is this. Look, we are looking at a situation where if we are not careful, Hugh Masekela, you know, the South African, said something that if they are not careful, and he was talking about the gold mines when the whites that come to take over. If we are not careful, we'll be eating the crumbs from under our own dinner tables. If you have shipping lines in this country now calling your clients directly that they are going to do business for them, look, if we do the business for you, it will be cheaper for you. To my mind, it is actually, aside the fact that this is wrong, it is a bit immoral that the man who has the vessel carrying cargo here has the project, has the manifest, and has all the project cargo visible to him. Yes. He starts dealing right from that point that, look, I'm going to carry this thing for you. I get here, I want to do the clearing for you. I will want to deliver the goods to your doorstep. I will do the inland transport. What is going to be left for you? You and I do not have that muscle. So it is for no mean reason why the law will be made in such a way that it should save it for the local. So at least for this one, they should err on the side of the Ghanaian. It is very important. All the political instability you see as what? Youth losing jobs, and when they don't have anything to do, then they get, the rage builds up. We are building up. Look, GIF alone has over 700 companies.
Yes.
Off the top of my head, I can count about 3 or 4 companies who employ nothing less than 300 to 400 staff. You understand? The batch freights, the Raffle, Adolph's company, Total Logistics, you have Conship, you have McDonald. So if these huge projects also go, out of our, and then they take it, what's going to happen? You have courier companies who come in and are doing, if I tell you, we have taken some data and we know that if you know how much we are losing, because you have gotten a customs, valuation report to clear goods for your client, and then your client calls you that the goods have arrived in my house, it was delivered to me. How? He says the courier did it. So we have lost revenue there because we did not pay the duty. So it has its own effects. But I'm saying, at the end of the day, the whole reason why this law, you can see it clearly that it was meant for local content. And at least this could be saved for the youth of our country.
Absolutely.
So it is very important that we look at it and do not, sidestep this matter at all.
Okay, this one says, hello, Iron Port, Jerry here. Lately, we don't hear a lot about agents absconding with people's money. And is the system now fully sanitized, or I'm just not hearing anything? I want to know. Yeah. Is the system fully sanitized?
This is what my brother would tell. Look, like I'm saying, I think we're all aware.
Yes.
And, they tell you in the tree language, they say, Fabia Mensa.
Yeah.
You would always find miscreants anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, that's not what we want. So they have the systems. They're supposed to check, what is happening. The police are there to make sure that criminals do not, evade our systems. Customs is also there with the system. As long as they tighten it and also make sure that, people do not, again, you still find people who would try and circumvent and find. But I'm saying once you are found out, if you have done something illegal, the law is going to deal with you.
Right. Awesome. My name is Beatrix in Accra. How far would they call for decoupling of shipping lines charges with customs duty? Any headway?
That's a system issue.
I'm not sure I very much understood
I think it's always the decoupling. It's always been
of shipping line
an issue
charges.
that we think.
Shipping line charges are actually
and customs duty.
Charges for shipping lines are paid to shipping lines, and customs duties are paid to
customs.
GRA. So the two are not paid together. So if you say decoupling, it's already decoupled.
So the issue is about the believers that look, the delays that we encounter with maybe shipping lines going to release and all that. The shipping line say he's waiting for you to finish customs business. But if we have automated our systems right now and customs have a bird's eye view of duties being paid, they're saying that it shouldn't be a matter for the shipping lines to say, I'm waiting for this before I release, because it also takes time. And if you're looking at issues of demurrage and all that, then it has been the thought process that if they decouple, the customs, payment of customs duty from, because I have a contract with the shipping line to bring my goods to Ghana. So I go to him, once I have my original bill of lading, and that is what you're supposed to do, release my cargo for me. You understand? It's got nothing to do with the customs. They would want to do that. Right now we have the pre-arrival processes. So if you can pay duties ahead of time, and also do your release ahead of time. In fact, if the vessels arrive, you can easily clear your goods, and then you don't have to encounter any delays which will lead to payment of demurrage.
So if you look at, depending on how you look at it, of course, that it is only the aspects where the shipping line indicates to customs that you can proceed to take delivery, the client can proceed to take delivery of cargo. And the conditions under which cargo should be delivered to clients, as to whether you should take the cargo with a container or, the van, and then, so whichever the condition is. Again, that communication is when you are going to physically take cargo. And at the point you are taking physical cargo, you would have fulfilled duty requirements. So either way, you will still have to fulfill duty requirements. And then the communicate to customs. You can communicate to customs today and take cargo today. So that in itself shouldn't cause a delay. Trust me, if there's any delays, that in itself shouldn't cause a delay. However, as I mentioned earlier, there is a team that is conducting a time release study and looking into all these aspects of trade. And if these are recommendations that are coming up based on the findings, of course, this will be pushed to management for a decision to be made.
Okay, so let me just give you a final question, which is about what you're doing to enhance the capacity of the freight forwarders or customs house agents, because you work with them, and you need them to complement what you're doing so that you can have a smooth facilitation of trade and all that. And so I want to find out from you what you're doing to enhance their capacity to enable them to deliver efficiently and effectively.
Thank you. Not only for the custom house agents or freight forwarders or any of the state actors, but for the community and the trading community. So one of the things we have done is to enrich our clearance platform. If you go to the ICOM's external portal, which is www.external.unipassghana.com, there's so much rich information that is out there. Information having to do with the requirements regarding importation, exportation, duty calculator where you want to do self-assessment. If you have basic information regarding value of item, you're able to classify, you put in those ones, the system is able to tell you how much duty you are likely to pay. If you want to know that for a vehicle, it will tell you. If you want to know information relating to the free trade agreements we have entered into other state parties. So I'm just saying that there's so much rich information that is made available without you logging into the platform. So that is the extent that we have been doing with with the freight forwarders and other stakeholders. We are able to engage. The engagement is not only in person or physical, but through these electronic platforms. We exchange, and then we have lots of dialogues. We meet, we have discussions, and then where there's a need to do training, we offer training. Where there's a need to do some form of knowledge sharing, we do that as well. I mentioned even last week, we engage with them to get the opinion on certain things, and that is to the extent that we do to be able to, leverage on them.
Awesome. We've run out of time, but let's just give Boachi Adom just 1 minute. He's on the line. Good evening, sir. Hello, Mr. Adom.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening. Can you raise your voice a bit?
Yeah, please. There's this issue that we have at Custom Head Office, that is CTSB. When you generate raise your voice a bit. Yeah, there is this issue that happened.
Can you lower the volume on your TV set, Mr. Adom?
When you submitted a document, and then they are saying trade facility, it should come on time.
Mr. Adom, can you lower the volume on your TV set, please?
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Now? Yeah, when you generate a DOE, and it should take you about 3. I have done that place.
Yes, go ahead.
And it should take you about a couple of minutes to get approval. Sometimes it takes a whole week. And this thing, I don't know what they are doing about it. Sometimes they may query you that you should do resubmitting your documents, and then that one also take a week. Sometimes the vessel may come for you to get to the document. It's still delayed there. So please, I want Mr. Smile to also say something about that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Adom. We are grateful to you for your call. We can't pick any other call again because our time is up. So you have just some 30 seconds or 1 minute to provide an answer and a response, and then we will wrap up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Adom, for the feedback. Just to indicate that I am not to tell you the findings of the time release study. However, it is not pointing to that it takes a week for cargo for assessment to be done at the Classification and Evaluation Bureau. Of course, that we may have issues where if you have not submitted information that is explanatory enough, if you have not done proper classification or have not submitted to include the required documentations, then it will be a back and forth. Right. Your application may get sent back to you for corrections. Some of these things may cause the delay. Otherwise, the study findings is not pointing to that long for assessment to be done at the Bureau.
All right. Great. This one says, this is from Ohima, one of our regular texters and viewers. She's in Tema, Pauline. She says, well spoken, Mr. President. We are proud of you. Smile and his people are always giving us mixed feelings. All right. So, Mr. President, just in 30 seconds, how do I access a professional freight forwarder?
Okay, so what we have done right now is that you can always access us through our our offices, our district offices, but we're going technological, we're trying to digitalize, so we have just shortlisted a few people who are going to work on our digital agenda. Very soon, we're going to have all our members, the database of our members on our website, and those in good standing could easily be accessed. That said, you can always come to our district offices, call our district offices, and then you can do due diligence on any freight forwarder that you intend to use.
Okay. All right.
Just also indicate that we would also be making a publication of the freight forwarders in good standing.
Right.
In good standing means that those that are, we have deemed to be of a good compliance.
Right.
We'll be publishing them on the site, and it will be available to anybody without a login to access. And also put their contact numbers and their physical locations, so that you can easily walk into those facilities and have their services as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smile Agwemenu, who is the Principal Revenue Officer, Policy and Programs Unit, Customs Division, Ghana Revenue Authority. He's also a member of the ICOMS Implementation Committee. And to Mr. Idi Akron, who is the President of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders and CEO of Shake Lines and Logistics
Company Limited.
Shake Lines and Company Limited, yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Viewers, this is how we draw the curtain on this week's edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. We'd like to say a big thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority, Guel PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. Remember to watch the abridged version of the show on Ghana Television on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. And also, please keep watching the rest of our programs here and endeavor that you would always, have have time to share our links and to also go to our social media pages. If you want any other information, you can revisit there and then you can pull it out and then it will be to your benefit and those that you want to share with. My name is Kennedy Mona. We thank you for watching and we invite you to have a super week ahead and keep enjoying the rest of our programs. Have a super evening. Good evening.